when she ran, for whatever reason, I don't know what it was for. Like she said, maybe she was afraid, but I don't know if she ran, drugs throw, a cell phone throw. We'll never know. It was never, looked for to hide something. But she could have gotten him help, but all she cared about was herself and getting away. Maybe things would have turned out differently if she'd gotten him help, and she did not. Both my brother's legs were broken and he couldn't even crawl. He laid there unable to breathe, thinking he was going to die. She was later charged with reckless driving, evading responsibility, resulting in death, operating without a license, failure to drive in proper lane, and negligent homicide with a motor vehicle.
We are about to watch the parole hearing of a Connecticut woman who received just a 3-year sentence for taking 2 lives while driving illegally. Now she is up for parole. Before we watch her parole hearing, we're going to jump into the scene of the accident. So with that, let's go.
It's around 5 in the morning when 2 people were waiting at this bus stop behind me when all of a sudden a Jeep crashed through the bus stop and ran them over, killing 1 man. Take a look at this video. You see the bus stop enclosure still standing until headlights appear. A Jeep about to crash into the enclosure for choosing to stop the video before the moment of impact. 1 man died. He's identified as 57-year-old Maurice Mezier. Another victim was seriously hurt. A nearby business owner knew Mezier and told Fox 61 he lived above her business.
Well, he was a nice guy. I think he was lonely. I don't believe he had any family in the state, so he'd stop by.
Police say the driver of the Jeep is 31-year-old Pinky McBurrows. They say she tried to run away after the crash, but an officer caught up and arrested her. She's been charged with reckless driving, evading responsibility, operating without a license, and failure to drive in a proper lane, with more charges pending.
And as we'll hear from the second victim's family members, the second man did pass away shortly after the accident. So she killed 2, received a 3-year sentence, up for parole after about half of it. We'll unpack it with more details at the end.
All right. Good morning. My name is Parole Officer Boyce for today's Friday, May 17, 2024. This is the hearing of the Connecticut Court of Pardons and Parole. Following board members are present this morning and by stating their names on the record, certify they have reviewed all statutorily required documents and available pertinent information in preparation of this hearing.
Councilmember Rodriguez, good morning.
Deborah Smith-Palmieri. Good morning. Nancy Turner.
Good morning.
Can you please state your name and inmate number for the record?
Pinky McBurrows, 441580.
Thank you. Also connected through Teams is staff from the Office of Victim Services. This hearing is being conducted in consideration for the parole application for Pinky McBurrows, inmate number 441580. She is serving a sentence of 10 years, suspended after 3 years with 5 years probation for 2 counts of negligent homicide with a motor vehicle and 1 count of evading responsibility. As of today, records reflect a parole eligibility date of January 10th, 2024. There is victim input in the case. There is an offender accountability program for the offender. It has been reviewed and shows that she has completed voices and is currently participating in the Tier 4 program. Utilizing the Women's Risk Needs Assessment, one of the offender's overall score for recidivism falls within the lower range. Ms. McBurrows, this is your opportunity to tell the board why you believe you should be granted parole. You may begin.
I follow all the steps that I had to. I did my programs the way I'm supposed to. I'm in the Maryland Baker program as of now. I just want to restart my life. I want to get my driver's license, go home to my baby girl, and be the mother that I should be. I'm really remorseful about what happened, and I'm really sorry. And I just want to live a comfortable life. I did everything I was supposed to do. I'm doing it every day. I get up, I wake up, I do what I got to do, and I'm just ready to go home.
Is that it, Ms. McBurrow?
I mean, I don't know what to really say. It's my first time, so I'm a little nervous, but I did everything I was supposed to do. I did the Voices program. I'm in the Maryland Baker program. I'm looking forward to my leaving. I don't know what else to say.
Okay, all right. Well, you know what, we're going to ask you some questions, and maybe some of those questions will get into more information.
Okay.
Okay. And we also have victim input today as well. But we're going to start off with asking you some questions.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
And we're gonna start off with panel member Smith, panel Palmieri.
Okay.
Yeah, so Ms. McBurrows, I appreciate your opening statement. I know you have never been arrested before or in jail before. So this is all new to you. We're gonna ask you some questions to determine your suitability for early release to the community.
Okay.
And a lot of that, you know, there's a lot of factors that go into that. We're gonna hear from the victim's family
Okay.
at the end of this statement, and you can imagine, I'm sure, because you heard them at sentencing, what their feelings are going to be.
Yes.
So I appreciate that you have offered your remorse for the situation, and I do acknowledge that you expressed how sorry you were at the time of your arrest, throughout the pre-sentence report phase, and at sentencing. I think that speaks a lot to how your understanding of what the gravity of this situation is. You know, throughout all the records I reviewed, they refer to it as an accident. And, you know, in my perspective, from reading the documents, there was no intent on your part. You know, probably what stands out for myself and maybe for my colleagues as well is the fact that you left the scene.
Yes,
That you did not take, you know, you did not show, you know, the right thing of staying there. Can you talk about that feeling a little bit as to why you ran? I mean, you didn't get far.
I didn't know what was really going on when I woke up. I panicked and my nature was to run, but if I would have known that them people was there, I would have stayed there and helped them. It's not in my nature to leave nobody behind. And I'm really, I think about that a lot, and I knew that was gonna come up. I'm really sorry that I did that, because if I was in my right state of mind, I would have never done that. I woke up and I was in a blur and I just panicked and I ran. I was scared.
Let's go back a little bit too, to the fact that you're driving without a license.
I was driving without a license because my licensed driver didn't come pick me up, and I should have never gotten in the truck and drove, but I did, and now I'm paying for it because I should have did it the right way to begin with. I know that now, and I'm really apologetic about it. I should have never got in the car and drove. I was exhausted, and I shouldn't never did it, but I did it, and now I'm paying for it. I'm sorry. I really apologize about it. I didn't really mean to do that.
And I'm going to just bring to the obvious. It's a very emotional situation. It's emotional for you. It's emotional for the two victims, for their families, right? Because you're paying for it by being in jail, and they're paying for it because they've lost a brother, a father. And I know you right now. You feel like you're in this. Your sentence is how you're paying for it, but we really want you to also think about what the consequences of the conduct is. Now, you are 35 years old now?
Yes.
Yeah. This is your first arrest?
Yes.
So you were working 2 jobs at the time?
Yes, I was. I was working at Subway and Dunkin' Donuts. They were side by side on the highway. So I was clocking in one job, leaving from another job, clocking in again.
Were you supporting yourself through those 2 jobs?
Yes, I was supporting my living. I live with my fiance and Sonia, and we split the bills and the rent.
Okay. So you were traveling from Ansonia to North Bay?
Yes.
For that job. Okay. All right. How long had you been working there?
I've been working there over a year.
I'll be honest with you. I'm not sure how much more there is to talk about the offense. I read all the police reports, all about the accident, and then of course I wanted to I read your statement about why you ran. You panicked, you didn't want to, you felt you were going to go to jail for the rest of your life. I did read that, but I wanted to hear you kind of talk about that out loud as well. You were out on pretrial bond for a while the case was pending?
Yes, I was, because I was pregnant at the time.
When you got into the accident?
No, after I got into the accident, I became pregnant by fighting the case. I found out I was pregnant.
Okay. And what were you doing while you were out on bond? Were you doing any treatment?
I was working, and I did go a little bit to BH Care. I signed up back to BH Care for a little bit for my mental state, and that was it. I was just working, still trying to make ends meet, trying to get money up for when I go in here, and just going to the program because I realized that it's something with my mental that made me black out. So I went to BH Care to try to get help.
It wasn't helpful.
Yes, it was helpful because they have counselors there that you could talk to. I had to relive the incident again, which I don't like to talk about, but I had to relive it again and talk to my clinician about it. And she was very understanding and open-mindedness, and she just gave me the ability to not doubt myself because I was beating myself up about the accident because I thought maybe I shouldn't have lived because of what happened, and my truck was totaled on the sidewalk. That could have been me. That could have been anybody. Now I know that, and I'm really sorry about that.
You've been incarcerated now for a little bit. You were sentenced in September 2022. And since you've been in, you talked about it, you did the Voices program.
Yes, I had to do the Voices.
Go ahead, what?
I had to do the Voices program. It gave me different scenarios, like my home that I'm in now. It gave me a scenario of people and how people's family feels about different accidents that happen. It was a real eye-opener to do that. I was reluctant at first to do it, but when I did it, I realized why I had to do it.
Great, so I had two questions from that. Why didn't you want to do it?
I didn't want to do it because I felt like I didn't need to do it. But as I got into it, I understand why I had to do Voices. And I'm really lucky that I did do that program because it opened my eyes to what I've done and what happens to people when they don't follow the rules.
So when you say I'm really lucky that I did, is that why you feel lucky to have done the program, or why you realized it's important to have done the program?
Yes, I'm really just lucky to have the opportunity to open up my eyes to different things because I was real close-minded. And I realized that during that program, it really helped me learn a lot about myself, and that's it.
What'd you learn about yourself?
I learned that I'm not a monster, and I've learned that it wasn't my intentions to do that. It was truly an accident. So I don't fault myself no more for it. I kind of gave it to God, and I just pray about it every night. And I hope that the families forgive me as well, because I know it's a journey, and I know people have lost their life. And I'm sorry. I'm really, truly sorry about that. But I just want a second chance to do it over, to do it the right way.
You're in the Maryland Baker program now, the Tier 4 program?
Yes, I am. They moved me over there like a couple months ago.
Okay. Why do you think you're doing that program? Why do you think that's important?
The Maryland Baker program is important because it's helping me to rehabilitate myself, to go back out to society and do what I need to do for myself. We go to classes, we go to meetings, we learn about different drugs and different scenarios, and we lean on each other because it's like a sisterhood there. So I like it. It's good for me. I go to NA meetings every day. Even though I wasn't drinking and driving, it still show you how your actions could cause the biggest reaction that you ever face. And I like that program. It's good for me. I really thought I wasn't gonna need nothing, but I'm glad that they did put me in the Marilyn Baker program so I could have a chance to rehabilitate myself.
Do you feel like you're rehabilitating yourself?
Yes, I do. I built myself up. I had low self-esteem, and now I'm a little bit better at it. I'm just working day by day to be a better person.
Give me two things that you see yourself having improved in. What do you see that's stronger about you?
My willingness to learn is stronger, and my attitude, I have a different perspective on life. I think before I do things now, I'm more precautious of things.
So you're learning, you have been able to start the process of identifying consequences of your decision makings, whether they're positive or negative, and balance that to make better choices.
Yeah.
Through the Marilyn Baker program, have you talked about having support in the community?
No, I haven't talked about having support in the community, not yet.
I have that you're supposed to finish the program the end of June. Is that what your understanding is?
Yes.
Okay. And when I ask about support in the community, I ask about a couple of things. You know, you talked about, I think you used the word sisterhood. So
yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, it's a lot of women in there, and we all share our stories, and that's how we connect with each other. And through the NA meetings, it's confidential. I don't want to, tell nobody else's business at the time, but it's a very good program, and it really shows you that there's other women that are like you that you can depend on. It's a real sisterhood. They really look out for you. They're there for you. They're there to listen. And I love being in the Marilyn Baker program.
Have you ever had an opportunity to participate in a group session like that where you feel like you're getting support from other women?
No, I've never been in a program where I was getting support from anybody. It feels encouraging, and it feels like I can do anything that I put my mind to now that I'm in the Marilyn Baker program.
Have you thought about when you're released, whether it's with parole or to probation, how you'll be able to seek out some support network like that in the community?
I said when I get out of here that I am going to follow up on the meetings, and I'm going to get a sponsor, and I'm going to have somebody lead me in the right direction. And with my sponsorship, hopefully I find NA programs around where I live at so that I can do them and stick to it, because I don't want to end up back in the same situation that I was in. I want to better myself.
Well, we want you to better yourself also. You know, our goal is that these programs will help you improve your self-esteem, find ways to cope, make good decisions so that you are successful when you're back home. You know, you have a child now, you'll want to be a good role model. Have you done anything with parenting since you've been in?
No, I haven't done anything with parenting since I've been in here. I just came in here for myself, to work on myself, to be a better person.
And your child is with the father?
Yes, my child is with my baby father, yes.
That's your fiance, you said earlier?
Yes, he is a big support system in my life. He make sure that I'm okay in here. We talk every day. I get to talk to my daughter on the phone, even though she can't speak. She still gets to hear my voice, and it makes my day complete just knowing that I have them in my corner.
It is very important, and we see it as really critical in terms of being successful in the community, making that transition. Our support. I noticed that you're going to release to your cousin's house and not to your fiance.
Yes, my fiance, he has an old record. He's on parole. He does parole every once a year. So that's why I thought I couldn't go there. That's why I picked my cousin's house, because she doesn't do anything, no drugs, no alcohol or nothing. She's just living.
Okay. And since your fiance is on parole, is he able to sort of support you and kind of give you some support as you go through this process through the criminal justice system? Because he's been through the process then if he's on parole.
Yes, he tells me all the time, just wait and be patient, let go and let God. And he's just always around for me. He just knows that this is the first time, so he's real lenient on me. He be like, you'll find out stuff on your own. I'm not gonna tell you too much because you going through it right now. He don't like to put a lot on me and pressure me, but he makes me think of things and just think it out before I do it.
That's important. I think that sounds like both of you have developed some skills in terms of decision making and weighing consequences of our decisions. That's important, especially as you raise a child together.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
He's very good with that. He takes my daughter to school every day. He's a hands-on dad, and I really commend him for that because I needed somebody, because my parents are not an option. So I'm glad that he took the initiative to step to the plate and take care of our daughter while I'm in here.
Right. And he's on parole, you said. Do you know what he's on parole for?
No, I don't know what he's on parole for. He was on parole since he lived down south, and then he moved up here. So I really don't know the nature of why he got on parole, but I just know he's on parole.
And I just, it's a little surprising that you wouldn't inquire so that you both sort of know what your situations are.
I just didn't want him to relive his past, so I didn't ask him about it. And I just look at him for the new man that he is. I don't fault him for nothing that he did in the past, so that's probably why. But I never inquired about it.
And so you're going to release to your cousin's house. Have you talked to your old employer about employment? Or what
I have a job waiting for me when I get out of here. I work at Target in Sonia. I took a personal leave of absence before I came in here. So all I got to do is call them on the phone and tell them that I no longer want to be on personal leave, and then they'll find a way to stick me back in the system.
You must have been a good employee for them to give you the leave and, for you to think that they'll be able to find a spot for you.
Yes, when I work, I put my all into it. I'm very dependable, I'm loyal, and I listen. So that's why, and I also be helping my coworkers when they blow up or something happens. I try to diffuse the situation. I was in customer service when I left Target.
Do you have any concerns about being back in the community? I mean, there are serious charges. You're going to be on probation or parole for a period of time.
I do. I have to. It's nothing I can do about it. So I gotta just roll with it and see where I can fit in society now that I have a record, and hopefully my job does take me back. They told me they will, but I'm still not sure if they're gonna take me back, knowing that they can see my charges now. So I'm worried a little bit, but I'm hopeful, and I just pray every night that I get back into what I was doing, because I was on the right track. I was working every day. I should have never gotten a car. That was the ultimate dumbest mistake I ever made. But I love working. I always put my all into my job, and I got people around me. I got job people around me that reach out to me and they write me letters and they just let me know what's going on. So I feel like I'm part of the group still.
You know, you've identified what some the bad decisions that you made. One was getting in the car when you didn't have a license. I mean, by your own accounts, you weren't really, you seemed uncomfortable even driving, right? You said that's why you were on those back roads.
Yes.
And not on the highways. And then the fact that, and then I think for the families, the fact that you left the scene of the accident is really traumatic.
Yeah, that was negligence on my part. I didn't really mean to do that. Like I said, if I was in my right state of mind, I would have never left them there. I would have tried to help them, hold them something. And I think about that every time I wake up. I think about that. Why didn't I do it differently? But it's already happened and I can't go back and change it. All I can do is apologize for my decision that I made that day. And I know that they probably will never forgive me for it, but I really am sorry.
Right, Ms. McBurrows, is there anything else that you think I should have asked you about that you want us to know about? Have you worked at all while you've been at your work?
Yes, I was working when I was here. I was working in a dining hall. But as I joined the Maryland Baker program, I quit because I wanted to focus on the program. But I was working before that. I was working in the main dining, and I was feeding the people and cleaning up behind people and stuff like that. I mean, I have no problem in working wherever I'm at. It kept me preoccupied and it made my days go by. But now I got to focus on the Maryland Baker program and do what I got to do in order to follow the steps to get out of here to see daylight again.
I appreciate so much that you seem to understand the benefits of both programs that you've taken, Voices program and the Maryland Baker program. They're two really important programs for somebody who has your charges, for somebody with your background too.
Mm-hmm.
I also, when you talk about being in the community and having support, I noticed that you've gotten some support through Yale, and I would encourage you to think about, your mental health also when you're out, and the importance of getting support in that way as well.
Yes, I will seek help as I get out. I just need to get out and redo things the right way. And I plan on finding a provider to help me with that as well.
All right. Thank you, Ms. McBurrows. Mr. Chair, I don't know if you have any.
Mr. McBurrow, I don't have a lot of questions. My colleague asked you a variety of questions that I also on topic I wanted to ask as well. But why didn't you have a license? What was that about that you didn't have a license? You're 36 years old. Did you just decide? Have you driven without the license before?
No, I haven't never driven. I was always scared to. It was just that day I just wanted to get to work, and he brought me a truck, but he told me not to drive it, and he was at work. So against my better judgment, I got in a car and I drove. I never seek my license before that because I always get there and then I get scared and back out when it comes to the driving part. I'll do the driving test part, but then I'll back out when it comes to the driving part because I was always so nervous to do it. But now I want to do it and get it done.
He bought you a truck? Is that what you said?
He brought me a truck for my birthday, and that was the stipulations of, he told me to get my license. He wasn't there that day when I got in the truck to drive myself to work.
When did he buy you the truck?
He brought me the truck in April of my birthday.
This year or prior to this?
It was this year he brought it. The year that I had the accident, he brought it.
Yeah, I just wanted to try to understand why you hadn't had your license yet.
I just never went for it. I went through Job Corps before and did the driving lessons, and I did the drug and alcohol class before. I just never went for the driving test.
This was a very tragic event. Seems like you're trying to, do some good things. But, thank you for answering my one question. I appreciate that very much.
Thank you.
Sure.
Ms. McBurrows, you said to my colleague that, you're doing these programs because you don't want to end up in the situation you were in. What was that situation?
As far as getting in the car and driving and having that accident, I don't want to have any more accidents. I want to do things the right way so that I could be accountable for what I'm doing.
That wasn't a reference to how you were living or your daily use of marijuana. It was really just about driving when you didn't know how without a license.
Yes, because I wasn't under the influence. I do smoke marijuana, but I wasn't under the influence when I drove. I wasn't smoking or drinking nothing. I was really exhausted and I blacked out behind the wheel.
I know what happened, what the accident consisted of, but you were talking, it sounded like, about your lifestyle. And I was trying to understand whether that was part of that was maybe where you were living or how you were living or your.
No, it's just everything. It's just everything. I just want to be a better person. So I want to put down my habit and focus on raising my child. I don't want my child to feel any neglect prior to me being here.
So let's say you're back in the community and your ride doesn't show up to take you to your job. How would you handle that going forward?
I'll either Uber or I won't go to work that day and call out. I'm never gonna do that again. I've learned a valuable lesson.
Use public transportation? Do you know the bus system?
Yes, I know the bus system, and I should have got on the bus, but it would have took a long time. I should have got on the bus. I should have called somebody else. It's a lot of things I should have done that I didn't do, and that's why I'm here today. But prior to me getting out, I'm not gonna do that no more because I've learned a valuable lesson.
Good.
And a lot of people lost their life, so yeah.
What your thinking was and how you would make decisions now that you've been in this situation. I want to recognize that you haven't had any disciplinary issues during this incarceration. We expect to see that, but we don't always. So that's to be recognized. And you did, at sentencing, apologize to the families of the victims you killed. So that was, a good beginning for your rehabilitation. So
thank you.
And you did say you felt your sentence was fair, right?
I felt that there was more than fair. I really appreciate getting what I got because it could have been a lot worse.
Yeah. I'm surprised it wasn't 3 years for each of the deaths. So, all right. Well, thanks for talking with me, Ms. Burrows. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Ms. McBurrows, we're going to have a victim input now. And we're going to ask that you not interrupt when they're speaking. Okay?
Okay. All right.
All right. Vasquez, are you there?
Good morning, Chair and board members. We have a victim that is connected via conference call and wishes to address the board. This is the opportunity for you to express to the board your wishes and concerns. At this time, please unmute your microphone and turn your video camera on only if you wish. and you may begin.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Parole Hearing Committee, for letting me sit in on this. Appreciate it. I'm very nervous at the moment. Hope you bear with me. I'm kind of shaking.
Take your time and take a deep breath.
I just wanted to show quickly, this was Peter just before he got killed. Okay? And this was him the morning that he did die. My brother was unbelievable suffering for the whole month that after the accident. I mean, when he was laying there on the concrete, broken legs, broken hips, lungs, brain damage, and everything, just laying there waiting for someone to help him. And I'm surprised that he survived the whole month for what he went through, and the whole month never eating and so on. It was very hard. Every day I was there, and when he wasn't in a coma, induced coma, and he was awake, he would always try to give us a smile and thumbs up. He wanted to eat, but he could never eat. You know, go out of our way. But I wanted to read this letter to you. And again, on February 12th, 2020, my 59-year-old brother, Peter Escott, and 57-year-old Maurice Meeser was sitting in a bus shelter, waiting for the bus to go to work. And I got to tell you, I personally drove for Connecticut Transit for 17 years. That corner where this happened, I used to pick my brother up and bring him downtown, transfer him to go to work. And my number one rule is safety and abide by the law and everything. So when I have an accident, of course, I know what to do. Take care of the people that are injured. Even on my buses, I've had accidents. They were taken care of before me. I was the last one to go. But anyways, again, they were just waiting for the bus to go to work. Suddenly, Mrs. McB came driving north on Dixwell Avenue across the southbound lane, drove up the curb at high rate speed, smashed the bus shelter into pieces while they were just sitting inside with nowhere to go for protection. Once they got hit in the impact, hitting the walls of the shelter, the bus shelter, and they went flying in the air, and just like I said, we're unconscious. My brother, okay, I'm sorry, I'm skipping. She drove up the curb at the high rate of speed and smashed the bus shelter in pieces. My dear brother Peter and Maurice went flying into the air and hit the concrete. Mr. Meeser died on the scene while my poor brother suffered many injuries, including blunt impact to the head, neck, torso, extremities, a skull fracture, shock, pelvis fracture, acute respiratory deficiencies, traumatic subdural hematoma, acute blood loss, conjunctive impairment, and a host of fractures that resulted on his death after 1 month of surgeries and suffering. After running into Peter and Mr. Maurice, Mrs. McB kept driving nearly a block on the sidewalk before she jumped out of the car and ran. When she ran, for whatever reason, I don't know what it was for. Like she said, maybe she was sprayed, but I don't know if she ran, drugs throw, a cell phone throw. We'll never know. It was never, looked for to hide something. But okay, she could have gotten him help, but all she cared about was herself and getting away. Maybe things would have turned out differently if she'd gotten him help, and she did not. Both my brother's legs were broken and he couldn't even crawl. He laid there unable to breathe, thinking he was going to die. She was later charged with reckless driving, evading responsibility, resulting in death, operating without a license, failure to drive in proper lane, and negligent homicide with a motor vehicle. She was, okay, where was I? For 2 years, I went every day, every court hearing to get justice for my brother, Peter. The whole incident was caught on video from one of the nearby stores. I got to watch the horrific, gruesome tragedy, the impact of when the SUV Liberty Jeep that she was driving, I got to watch gruesome tragedy. I pray none of you ever have to go through something like this in your lifetime. Mr. McB was sentenced on September 28, 2022 to 3 years followed by 5 years of probation. My family and I were not happy with this sentence. It did not seem fair. It has only been a year and a half now, and she wants an early parole. She agreed to the initial sentencing, which did not seem like nearly enough for killing 2 people. Court proceedings took 2 long, agonizing years. We spent 2 years waiting for closure while Mrs. McBurrows dragged things out. During the 2 years, I suffered from high blood pressure, got cancer, I had surgery, chemo, and radiation. My sister Linda, I had to clean out my brother's apartment. I've been in therapy since Peter's death. I had to clean up. My sister Linda died in July of 2022. She was sick but lost the will to go on after Peter's death. Meanwhile, Miss McBurrows got to enjoy her life. During those 2 years, she partied, went out of state vacations, had a baby, all evidence on Facebook. She only showed remorse the day she was sentenced when they were taking her away because she was not allowed to hug a family member. While in prison, Mrs. McBurrows was able to have visitations with her daughter and family members. We'll never get to see Peter again. The only things we have are memories through pictures and one voicemail that I saved on my phone. I beg you, please do not give her early release. She pleaded guilty and accepted the plea deal. Again, 3 years is not nearly enough for taking 2 lives. I loved him so dearly, and I still do. There are a few other things I could love to say, and right now emotionally I'm shaking, and I do not believe things should change because she wants to get out early. The impact that this does for me every single day. I put my brother's stuff in a U-Haul storage, and to this day, I spend over $200 a month from where he used to live, and I just went through it recently for the first time in 4 years to clear my brother's things because it was so hard. He was my big brother, my hero, my protector. We grew up in a rough family, I'm sure like Pinky did, but we overcame it. He belonged to the National Guards when he was young. He was a hard worker. He worked every day. He took the city bus or get a ride from a friend, this and that. He would never drive illegally or do anything illegal. He respected the law, and which I do as well. And I don't know what else I could say. Is that I miss him. I'm shaking here. I've had through the last couple of years, feeling my brother's estate and his death has been very hard on closing him and burying him with his stone and so on. That I could keep going on, but the main thing is I believe the sentence was not fair to begin with. And I'm only asking, it's only been a year and a half, another year and a half to go. It went very quickly by already. And she has only another year and a half, and then she gets to live her life in any way she sees and who she wants to see. Again, I can never see my brother again. And she's going to be able to do this. Even if you release her now or after the 3 years are up, she's got this. She's going to be able to do all kinds of great things for herself. Peter will not. I'm having a hard time still dealing with it to this day, and I don't know how long. I seek out mental health for dealing with this, and I have for the last 2 years since it started. And I don't know what else I can say. I just beg you, please reconsider it and not do an early parole.
Okay,
And I
thank you. Thank you so much for your statement. I'm so sorry for your loss. But thank you so much for your statement this morning. We know it was probably very difficult to really go through this, but thank you, okay?
Thank you.
Is there anyone else, Ms. Vasquez?
No, that's all that we have for this particular case. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, Ms. McBurrows, we're gonna take the opportunity now to discuss your case and deliberate, and we'll let you know our decision in a few minutes, okay?
Okay,
Just be patient and don't interrupt, please.
all right.
Okay.
Yes, so it is a very difficult case. When you read all the police reports and all the victim impact information and the transcripts, there's so much to unpack, really. First, Ms. McBurrows, she does not have a criminal. This is her first arrest, her first conviction. She was remorseful from the beginning. I think the fact that she evaded responsibility is sort of what stands out probably significantly, that she did not stay behind. She did receive 3 years on each of the charges. The court did run them concurrently. So it is 3 years for each charge. She was out on bond, as has been discussed. She did work on herself while she was out on bond and treatment. She continued to work. She had a child. After sentencing, she has, as pointed out by Ms. Turner, she has not accrued any disciplinary reports. She has done the programs required, or she has done programs required of her. She completed the voices, and she's currently still in the Tier 4 program, the Maryland Baker program. She said a lot of positive things, I thought, Ms. McBurrows, in that she wants, doing things the right way, making better decisions, and most of all, being accountable. I do get the sense that she appreciates the gravity of the charges, that there's a loss of 2 lives, and she's responsible for that. And she will be forever responsible for those 2 losses of lives. She will need to manage her new criminal history in the community. She will have to figure out how she's going to work with that criminal history, raise her child. She does have support in the community. I appreciate the victim. I read all the information on the victims, and then, of course, the statement before us today of the injury to the one gentleman that lived first afterwards, and all that he went through. It is a horrible, horrible situation, and nothing is going to change that. Victim has had a lot to deal with. I did read that she did go to court every day in support of her brother and his family, and there were letters on behalf of the other victims as well in the file. Quite honestly, I am somewhat of a quandary here. Ms. Burrows, first and foremost, she needs to finish the Maryland Baker program. That's not done until the end of June. That any release after that puts her on parole for a year. And then 5 years of probation. She does have good support in the community. And I do see that she knows the harm that she has caused the family and the lifelong harm she has caused the family. I do think she would do well in the community. I would be interested in hearing from my colleagues. I would be interested, I would be leaning towards granting her parole following the completion of that program, though. I do think that she needs to finish that program and develop a support network in the community. I say that, and then also I'm thinking, well, if she does that program and she did some aftercare with that as she continued with her sentence, I do think it will provide her even with a greater foundation, and that foundation, so she can kind of continue with her own self-esteem. I think if you read her history, she has not had an easy life herself. She has had a lot to overcome, and I couldn't help but reading. Those are not easy jobs, working in the rest stops on the highways. There's not a lot of people that are able to maintain those jobs for a long period of time. They're grueling hours. That's why she was working for so long, so many hours. I don't want to take away her hard work in the community prior to this happening. I do think she needs to finish the program. I think she could benefit from some aftercare, but I also think that she has shown an opportunity to be suitable for parole. So I haven't really sort of come to a final decision. I realize that.
It's a very difficult, very
You know, and I do appreciate that when we do deliberate on these very emotional and difficult cases, that a discussion more than it is so helpful in really kind of coming down to where we all feels the right decision in the end.
I think you've laid out the suitability factors. I was a little surprised at her answer about parenting. And, you know, she's going to step into a role with the child and all that comes with that responsibility, terrible twos or possibly threes. And I think some tools in her toolbox to help her reintegrate into not just the community, but her child's life in 3 dimensions, not, you know, through simply phone calls. So I think the year that remains on her sentence could be well invested in further preparing her for success out in the community. And honestly, out of respect for the family, I will vote for Ms. McBurrows to go into sentence. I think the supports that she has will still be there, and she'll have probation to guide her. But I think that the crime itself necessitates this sentence be served at home.
Thank you, this was a very also making statements at the time of the trial about sentencing, which were very, very powerful time on both families. And today is also very powerful. But I also tend to agree that I think she's done some good work on herself. I think she's gained some really positive insight into the behavior that caused this to begin with. I'm concerned that she was given a car, you know, in April when she didn't have a license and hadn't gone to do anything about that. And then drove without it, and with the feeling she said she had about driving. But in terms of her working on herself, I do see that she's trying to. But I also think that additional time would be very helpful for her in terms of her transition back into the community with which she's going to have to face when she gets out there. So I'm still in denial today and seeing her your ass. But that's
yeah. I know Ms. Turner said it with respect to victims, and it is with no disrespect to victims, because what they have gone through, how the victim's family has supported her brother throughout all of that, it's hard to even to comprehend the emotional stress on that. You know, I also we talked about parenting, that Ms. McBurrows has a child at home. That is now 2 and close to 2, and would also benefit from not having her home. And when we talk about suitability, she has provided many factors for suitability to parole. Now, I would be in favor of granting uncle and minorities, and be in favor of granting the parole. It would have been contingent upon completing the Maryland Baker program, though.
And nature of offense.
Nature and circumstances, injury and impact.
and impact, injury and impact,
Say inadequate program completion.
inadequate participation.
I would change participation to completion.
Just to spell it out.
Just like this. Yeah.
Great.
Sure. So those are the three. Okay, so in the matter of Pinky McBurrows, inmate number 441580, there's a motion to deny discretionary parole due to the following: nature and circumstances of the current offense, injury and or impact on the victim and the victim's family, and inadequate institutional program completion. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed. Motion carried with a majority vote. Ms. McBurrow, we want to acknowledge the work that you've been doing. You've been doing some really good work on yourself. You've got some really good insight. Today, we're not going to be granting you discretionary parole. We're hoping that you finish the program that you're doing, that you maybe consider an aftercare program, that you consider a parenting program. And that's our recommendation for today.
This concludes the hearing for Pinky McBurrows inmate number 441580. Ms. McBurrows, you're all set. You'll get this in writing in about a week.
All right.
We have seen many parole hearings in Louisiana, in Connecticut, now in Iowa, where those who commit these homicide, DUI offenses, or just vehicular homicide offenses, there's something that they all seem to have in common, which is the word's not bizarre, but it's something I don't understand it, because the statistical anomaly of all of them being seemingly, to me, I'm not diagnosing anyone, I'm speculating on a situation like this, to me, all seem to have these incredibly powerful narcissistic-like tendencies where they can't even fake their concern that they killed human beings. She killed 2 people. And she says in her opening statement, in one of the first words, that she wants to get a driver's license. I mean, you would just think that that so many people, if they were to take 2 lives, would be fearful of getting back in a car. They may have to do it, but would it really be their first goal? Keep in mind that she didn't even have a license because she, from her own words at a parole hearing, was too afraid to take the test. She comes out and, in my opinion, lies to the parole board by saying, oh yeah, my fiance bought me the truck. I wasn't supposed to drive it, but I didn't listen to him, and I did. I've never done it before. Come on. It's just something that we see over and over again, where they just lie to the board and the board says nothing. You know, they could have, Richard has in the notes, I agree with him, they might have paroled her if she didn't, if she took the parenting classes and the victim didn't speak. I mean, they might have. They were like they were so excited over the fact that this was her first criminal offense, and that she worked a tough blue collar job. And it's like, really? Are those the parameters? How about the idea that she kills 2 people? Tried to run away from the scene of the accident, says she blacked out, takes no accountability, claims that she smokes all the time, but that time she was sober. I mean, the whole thing over, like the disease. And then when the victim speaks, she sits back in her chair. And she shakes her head no. Again, just further, you killed her relative. You killed two people. And all they sentenced her to was 3 years. They let her out on $5,000 bond. This is after she's driving without a license. She's driving recklessly. She ran from the scene of the accident. And then, from my understanding, is that she went and decided to have a baby while she's out on bond, while she's facing prison time. And they're all like, oh, let's did this, and she has a baby. She should send her back there. And it's like, well, don't you think that maybe there's a chance that she decided to have the baby thinking the judge would be lenient on her? That the whole thing was a thing of manipulation? I get it. This is me being really skeptical. This is me just speculating. How dare I? But it's her choice to do it without knowing what's hanging over her head as a sentence. And it was just 3 years. She's getting out no matter what. On August 11th, 2025. That's in a year and 2 months less from the time of this recording. She was sentenced September 26, 2022. The accident happened in 2020. She was out on bond the entire time, as the victims had spoke about. I mean, in her opening statement, it was like you would think that the focus would be on the victims. The focus would be on the trauma of it. The focus would be on just how because things do happen, accidents do happen. And that's why I started with how many times we've seen people where they just seem completely narcissistic. But wouldn't you show up and just have more accountability and remorse and authentic pain? I didn't get any of that. I just didn't. Oh, the thing about her fiance, I have no idea what he did. I have no idea. I didn't want to bring up that trauma for him. And it's like, again, you're lying to us because his charge is serious, is like really bad that you don't want the parole board to know, or you're just sending a message that you're even that much more reckless, that you don't care to protect your child from the man. You don't even know either one is bad. You're either lying or you're so irresponsible that you are not showing that you should be released. You have a child. You're going to bring a man into your child's life and not even know what he's on bond for. Three years cannot be enough for taking two lives. It just can't be. And then you just see how callous the person is and how insincere they are and how really just straight up like just all it is me. Huh. You might not believe it if you didn't see it. Thank you, Richard, for the info. And with that, I'll let you go.